Today I want to address the question, has too much damage been caused by this affair for me to be able to heal from it? When it comes to the infidelity, recovery, healing journey, have I been too damaged to ever go back to normal again? That's the question I want to tackle because I think that it is a little bit beyond the grasp of just simple platitudes to understand what it will really take. So let's start by acknowledging something fundamental here. The pain of infidelity is uniquely disorienting. It's not just another relationship problem. It's a reality-shattering experience that affects how you see yourself, your partner, your past, your future, and just about everything else. And the pain doesn't stay contained. It's not like it's just when you think about the relationship. It spills over into your work, parenting, friendships, just how you experience day-to-day life. It's like having chronic physical pain. It just doesn't go away. And being willing to admit this to yourself isn't some kind of wallowing. It's not some kind of negative thinking. It's acknowledging the actual terrain that you're trying to navigate. Because you can't find your way forward if you're pretending that you're somewhere else. And when you're in this state, you'll often hear a lot of voices telling you things like, once a cheater, always a cheater, just leave them, you'll never trust again. It's like, oh yeah, that happened to me. Good luck finding a relationship in the future. Cynicism creeps up, especially when you admit that you are in a really dark and painful place. So part of why we tend to deny that we're in that difficult terrain is because then these cynical voices start to sound true. But you can accept reality and how hard it is without becoming cynical and drowning in that. These voices, these cynical voices, often come from people who are stuck in their own unresolved pain. They're someone who, for whatever reason, has never gotten past some wound, and now they're projecting that onto everybody else. Their inability or unwillingness to do the work to heal does not mean that you have to be stuck the way that they are stuck. But there's something alluring to it. There's a certain certainty to cynicism that gives you permission to give up, that gives you permission to feel settled, even though you're feeling settled in hell. It's like, would you rather be certain living in hell or uncertain trying to make your way to the heavens, even if you're unsure if such a place could ever exist? The loudest voices rarely have wisdom. People who have actually healed, and whether it's about relationships or not, whether if they've survived anything really, really difficult, tend to speak with a lot more nuance. They understand the complexity of human behavior, the reality of growth and change, and the possibility of redemption. They don't minimize the damage, but they don't collapse into cynicism. So, be extremely wary of black and white assessments of what's going on in your life, whether those come internally or externally. Because what I didn't say yet is that the loudest cynical voice might be your own. And I am just asking you, as a virtual friend, if we haven't met in person before, I'm asking you to doubt that cynical voice, to be cynical about that level of cynicism, and to recognize that the gray areas might be where most of the healing takes place. So back to the original question. Is there ever too much damage to heal from? And what's crazy is I've seen people where both of them were lying and deceiving each other for years be able to heal. And I've known couples where just a few small things set them off on a path that they choose to never return from. And what's interesting about that is that it's usually not about the actual severity of what happened. It usually is about whether both people are willing to do the hard work of healing. And if one is and the other one isn't, then it's about whether you are willing to do the hard work of healing. And when I say the hard work, I'm talking about things like getting specialized trauma-informed support. I'm talking about engaging in radical honesty about what happened. I'm talking about being willing to face one's own contribution to relationship dynamics. I'm talking about creating consistent safety through actions, not just words. I'm talking about committing to long-term growth, not just short-term fixes. When both partners commit to this, healing is possible for the relationship, and if even one person commits to it, yes, the relationship probably still won't work, but at least you can still heal. There is no severity that makes it so that you are unable to recover from it. But let me make it very clear, you cannot heal enough for your partner. No matter how much you want the relationship to work, no matter how hard you work on yourself, you cannot do someone else's emotional work for them. You can create spaces, you can lead by example, But if they're not willing to do the emotional work, you can't force it. And one of the saddest things I sometimes see is the betrayed partner will desperately want to save the relationship. And so they're the one reading every book, attending every therapy session, engaging in endless emotional processing, while their partner remains passive or resistant. And they hope that just by healing enough, working hard enough, understanding enough, they'll somehow create enough momentum to pull their partner through. But what typically happens instead is just a growing imbalance. One partner evolves while the other remains stuck. The gap between them widens rather than closes. And eventually the growing partner faces a painful choice. They either keep growing by leaving the relationship, or they stop growing for the sake of staying. And so this isn't about blaming the other person who isn't willing to do the work. It's about prioritizing what you actually want. Do you want to heal and grow and be the person you were born to be? Or do you want to be with this person who hurt you? Because, let me be very clear, not every relationship should be saved. This isn't me being cynical. That is just the truth. Not all relationship pairings are good. So if there's clear danger, whether emotionally or physically, if there's ongoing infidelity and deception, or emotional or physical abuse, consistent gaslighting or manipulation, refusal to acknowledge and genuinely apologize for the impact of their actions, then the question should start to shift from, can this relationship heal, to, can I remain in this relationship and be myself? Can I remain in this relationship and maintain my sanity and safety? Sometimes the best choice you can make is genuinely to walk away. And again, even if the relationship doesn't survive, personal healing is always possible. And the personal healing is not contingent. It's not dependent on your partner's choices. It doesn't require their participation to change. It doesn't require them saying the right words to you for you to be able to heal. It is available to you regardless of whether reconciliation occurs. And oftentimes, this individual healing clarifies whether the relationship can be saved and whether it should be saved. So starting within, starting with yourself, starting from a place of not desperately trying to save the relationship, but desperately trying to save yourself, can help you gain the clarity to see what is actually happening, what should I actually do. What matters isn't so much how bad the affair was, but the direction that you're moving. So are both of you taking consistent steps toward healing, growth, rebuilding trust? Do you both still love each other? Do you both still want to be together? Because one thing that's odd that happens is sometimes people will both start a healing journey, both give 100%, and then they'll eventually realize, I think we're just not meant for each other. At least not anymore. That's fine. But the bare minimum, if you want the relationship to work, is both have to be trying. So the question isn't how bad was the damage. The question is, are we both willing to do what healing requires? And if one person isn't, are you willing to do what is required?